Hello and welcome back to Catalan Connections. Today we'll talk about film, about fantastic cinema with Mike Hostench, who is the co-director of the Sitges Festival, or the International Fantastic Film Festival of Catalonia. Welcome, Mike.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well, October is a very important month for cinema in Catalonia, more specifically for fantastic film. Sitges is one of the most popular festivals in Catalonia and in Europe. And this year it's very special because you celebrate 50 years. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much.
So tell me, Mike, first of all, what's happening this year in Sitges Festival? What's new, and how do you celebrate your 50th anniversary?
Well, it's a very important year for us. We are the oldest and the largest genre film festival in the world. In our case, a genre meaning fantastic, that encompasses horror, science fiction, fantasy, action, and we would like to celebrate most of it with our audience. I mean, it's a celebration for the audience.
Right.
And what we are trying is basically bringing the best films of the year for them, but also the celebrities and the talent that they would like to interact with, because this is important for Sitges. This is what we like about us. Is the audience can be very close with our guests, and they will have time to enjoy some quality time with Guillermo del Toro, Susan Sarandon, etc. But mostly the most important part are the movies.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sitges, like we said before, it's a fantastic festival of fantastic cinema, right? It is really, the lineup this year is quite spectacular. You've got really important names coming along, like Susan Sarandon that you mentioned before, Guillermo del Toro. But let's see, let's start from the very beginning. The festival starts on the 5th of October and goes on until the 15th, right? What's happening on the first day of the festival? I know there's a big event organized.
Yes. The most important thing that I would like to emphasize that we're coming back to a Thursday. The festival was 11 days. Due to the economic downturn, we had to cut one day, but we are back to 11 days. So it's an 11-day show. The first day is super important. It's our opening gala with a film called The Shape of Water. That is Guillermo del Toro's last film. And some people say his best also.
Wow.
And it just won Venice, so that is also important for us, because the impact of the film will be even larger.
Yes.
And we will have this opening gala with Guillermo there. Also, Guillermo is our official ambassador of the 50th anniversary. We prefer to call him Padrino instead of ambassador, but ambassador is more politically correct. So he's our ambassador. He will be there. He will be presenting the film. And the same day, also William Friedkin, who is the director of films like The Exorcist, is a very, very important director.
Exactly.
He will also join us to receive the Grand Honorary Award in this opening gala. And a lot of things will happen there, and we're very happy. It's going to be a party afterwards, as usual, also.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of expectation this year in Sitges. It's an important event for cinema, but also for the town, right? For locals. Sitges has, well, the festival has put Sitges on the map. No, has become very popular everywhere. And do you have any activities organized in Sitges and around Sitges? Do you collaborate with the local organizations?
Yes. Well, let me first point out that Sitges couldn't exist. Sitges Festival couldn't exist without Sitges. All the main festivals in the world were created to promote the town or the village where they were established, like Cannes or Venice, to promote mostly touristic towns. And Sitges was the same. Also, during Franco dictatorship, Sitges was also kind of a cultural sanctuary for many kind of liberal people and all that. It makes sense that this kind of festival just was born there.
Right.
Yes, our communion with Sitges village is absolute. It's 100%. is also one of our main sponsors, obviously. And I would say that yeah, we collaborate with all the key elements of the Sitges society to make sure that the festival works hand in hand with the village. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure this is also one of the keys of the festival's success. Right?
Oh yeah,
mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, during the years we had a lot of important talent coming over Sitges, and you wouldn't believe how it works, all this important talent talking to each other, saying how cool Sitges is and Catalonia is.
Right.
And it definitely makes a difference to bring this talent to such a beautiful coastal town in such a beautiful country. And it's this is definitely one of the key elements of Sitges festival success.
Mm-hmm. Mike, I know it's hard. It's a hard question to answer, but I'm curious to find out about the highlights
mm-hmm.
of the festival this year, because the lineup, like we said before, it's really spectacular. There's a lot going on every day, what would you recommend us? Which are the highlights this year?
Normally, festival directors tend, when they explain the highlights of the festival, about who is the important people coming.
Right.
But I would like first to emphasize on the films and the people that the elements or the films and the events that our audience is mostly interested about. We have 200,000 traffic of people in Sitges. So there is many people interested in the talent, but it's even much more people interested in the lineup and the small films they can find and they can watch. So I would say that we have some of the most interesting new films of the fantastic genre. Let me say a few of them. The first that come to my mind. For example, we have one with Nicolas Cage called Mom and Dad that I really like. I also like very much a Korean film called The Villainess. That's another one that I would definitely recommend for people that like real tough action. We also have a beautiful night with Rocky Horror Picture Show, a midnight screening with Susan Sarandon attending and receiving the award. This is probably one of the, this is the epitome or the quintessential cult movie, is Rocky Horror Picture Show from 1978. And so this is why I mix new films with some old films that we also show because it's our 50th anniversary. We have a beautiful retrospective on Hong Kong movies because Hong Kong cinematography has been super important for Sitges Festival also. We were among the first festivals in the world to show Hong Kong movies out of Asia. And of course, The Shape of Water, Guillermo's film. We love that. And maybe smaller films. For example, we have one called Happy Death Day. I strongly recommend this one. It's like, you remember, guys, El Día de la Marmota? But it's like a horror version of that concept.
Wow. That sounds terrific. And I must say also that the festival's poster this year is quite intriguing. The festival is focused this year on the figure of Dracula.
Yes.
Right? Why is that? Is there a special reason, or?
I would say yes.
Who's a fan of Dracula?
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, we all horror fans are fans of Dracula, and I think it's probably the most iconic figure of the fantastic cinema. So, as it's our 50th anniversary, we definitely needed a strong figure to be part of our leitmotif. That is going to infect, in a way, all the festival in terms of image. So we decided Dracula because 50th anniversary, we needed a strong figure. Also, if big fans of Dracula, and I can see the poster over there, they will identify this Dracula specifically as the Dracula from John Badham's Dracula 1979. It's because the main actor of this film, Frank Langella, is also coming, Oscar awardee, etc. He's also coming to present print of the film we are screening. So we wanted to homage Dracula in a little bit this specific Dracula also. And we're doing a retrospective also on Dracula films.
Right. Okay. Also this year, I read that among the there's also like a special tribute to Leatherface. Actually, it's a premiere.
Yeah, Leatherface.
You're presenting a premiere?
Yeah, correct.
Well?
Leatherface is another iconic figure of horror. It comes from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Tobe Hooper film. Rest in peace, he died recently, Tobe Hooper. And he directed in 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And Leatherface is the guy that everybody knows, you know, holding the chainsaw and killing people around. It's a great film, actually. And there's been a lot of sequels of this film. Actually, the one we are screening called Leatherface, that is a homage to this specific character. It's directed by two French directors that we really like, and I think it's number 7 sequel of different stories about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre universe and Leatherface. But yes, we are showing Leatherface. It's definitely going to be the Spanish state premiere. And very few people have seen it. It's an American, Bulgarian, French co-production. Shot in Bulgaria. Looks like Texas, believe it or not. Yeah.
Interesting. Right. What about popular names, popular directors, actors coming to Sitges this year?
We are having also a part of the ones mentioned, that is Guillermo and Cesar Sarandon, Frank Langella. We also have a very good friend of the festival, Takashi Miike, probably the most well-known Japanese director in the world at the moment, especially by the fantastic fans. We also have Vince Vaughn, who is an actor that I really like, mostly from the 90s and early 2000s, but now he's got an incredible film called Brawl on Cell Block 99. I think he's his comeback as the big actor that he is. We also have big Spanish actors and directors like Alex de la Iglesia. We also give an award to Santiago Segura.
Yes.
So we're going to combine also the Catalan, Spanish, and worldwide talent. What else can I think about? There is also another very important Japanese director called Kurosawa Kiyoshi. He's also coming. He was awarded in Sitges a few years ago, but he's one of our favorite directors also. Well, there is a lot of talent coming, and we'll be very busy taking care of them. Yeah.
A long list.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It looks busy and looks very, very interesting and promising at the same time. Any special activities organized because this year you celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Sitges Festival?
Oh yeah, we have the super famous zombie walk, famous around the world. It's I think Guillermo Toro is going to do the shooting start of the zombie walk. It has become a classic almost for a decade, and it's one of the largest in the world. People come dressed as zombies. It's going to happen on Saturday the 7th at around 8 o'clock. Downtown Sitges near Plaza de San Sebastián.
Yes.
And this is one of the biggest activities. We also have a celebration of the 100 years of Japanese animation with a cocktail with Japanese talent and all that. And we also have the Bacardi party. Some people doesn't know that, but Bacardi was established in Sitges. It's originally a Catalan company and started with a factory brewing rum in Sitges. So the Bacardi party is also another important event for our festival, but every night will be opening gala, closing gala, and there will be parties every night. But I think the ones that I highlighted are the most interesting, mostly the zombie walk. Oh, and there is another thing that I would like to elaborate a little bit, is the virtual reality.
Right,
virtual
I read about
reality
that. That's interesting.
is becoming more and more important. We are going to have probably the largest VR areas in Europe for a film festival, more than Venice, probably. This is when we are there, but I think we are going to be a slightly largest. Samsung is called the Samsung Sitges Cocoon because it's sponsored by Samsung, and we're going to have some of the best virtual reality productions from around the world, mostly fantastic. I mean, horror, science fiction, fantasy, also children fantasy animation. So this is definitely one of the high points of Sitges' 50th anniversary. It's going to be 2 areas, and it's going to be huge.
Okay. Well, I have a lot of questions, but. I would like to ask you a little bit about your background and also how you started collaborating with Sitges. I know that you have a very interesting background in the film industry and in music as well.
Yeah, I've been horror movie fan since I was a kid. That normally happens. My parents were very liberal, so I could watch all these movies and read all the comics and read all the books that I wanted about this. They were quite open about that. Right. But yeah, music, rock and roll mostly. I was also very interested with film and music. But more as a fan. Well, I had a couple of bands really bad now. Really enthusiastic, and I love them.
You were a vocalist, no?
Yeah,
as well?
and quite bad one also. So it's like much worse than my colleagues in the bands. But in any case, I was very interested in music. Then I started working with Virgin, and when Virgin megastores were the big thing in the 90s. So I was very much involved into music, and also cinema a little bit with film, with distribution. Then I opened my own video store and my own video distribution company. And
what was that? Was it in Catalan or abroad?
No. It was in. I work abroad with Virgin in London, specifically in the head office in London. But then I moved back to Barcelona and I opened my video store in near Ramblas in the Raval, and also a distribution company for horror movies, of course, during the VHS era.
Right.
And so yeah, this is how I started involved in film. Then I made Angel Sala, that, as you know, is my colleague and director of Sitges. And then I started collaborating with the festival, first in the 90s, selling my movies, but then as part of the staff in the early 2000s. And then very soon I became the co-director, the deputy director of the festival.
Okay. I must ask you as well, your English is well, excellent, perfect. But I know you said you are from here, although your name and surname are not Catalan.
Well, my second name is Catalan. Hostench comes from Olot, but they pronounce it Hostench because it sounds foreign, but it's Catalan 100%.
Right. It sounds very exotic.
It's true.
I didn't think it was Catalan.
It's 100% Catalan, and I even have my genealogical tree there. So, and it comes from Olot from the 1500s. But Mike comes because my name is Miquel, but when I was a kid, my father moved to America. He had a job there, and I moved there, and they call me Mike there, so that this is where the Mike stuck there.
I see.
Yeah, but I'm originally Catalan. Yeah.
And how long did you live in the States?
Not much, 5 years or something. But I was a little kid, so I started speaking English a little bit. Yeah.
All right, so the mystery is solved now. I was very curious about it, actually. Right, and then you said you lived and worked in London as well?
Yes. Yeah, at the Virgin Megastores headquarters. Well, it was a different world then. People was buying CDs and buying VHS and all that. That is not exactly the same kind of market. That was huge then, not anymore. So retail now is more complicated. But it was a great university for me. Right. It was a great learning for in distribution, production, and all that. Yeah.
And Mike, how would you say that the film industry, the horror film industry, has changed and evolved throughout? I don't know. You've been involved in this industry. You've always worked, no, in film industry. How would you say that it has changed? Because horror films, fantastic films, this is a genre which is very popular. I would say maybe increasingly popular. It hasn't lost fans. It is gaining more and more fans each time. So. Why would you say that happens?
It's okay from a human point of view. People say that horror is appealing because it talks about death, and okay, this is a theory. I agree only 50% with it. But if we're talking about human beings and how they feel about horror movies, I would say that some people said, and I think it's okay, that it's the only way to experiment death without having any danger for your life. Because even a roller coaster, there is a small percentage of danger there, but watching a movie, there is not. Okay, this is from a human point of view. From an industry point of view, it's true that horror has always saved the industry during economic downturns, because horror is the concept. You don't need a big star to make a good horror movie. It's just the concept. The horror has to be good. Yes. If it's a comedy, if it's a drama, you need faces, you need important people in this movie. So what producers call above the line in a production cost, you have to spend a lot of that. In terror, horror this doesn't matter. You can do a great horror movie without a big star.
Look
so you
at
can
the
do
Blair
it cheaper.
Witch Project. That was horrifying film, and I'm sure it wasn't. I don't know, but it didn't seem very expensive.
Oh no, it was super cheap. It was super. No? It made huge millionaires of the directors of Eduardo Sanchez and Daniel Myrick. That was 1999. But it was a very cheap, and the concept was everything. In horror, you can have a big star also, make a huge Hollywood horror movies also. But normally they are much cheaper to do because you don't need to spend money in big stars. And that makes it incredibly profitable at the box office. And this is one of the reasons that during economic downturns you can do horror movies and be very successful. So it happened in the last crisis, in the last economic downturn. So this is another reason that horror is popular and is big. Now also we are living a big change, a big evolution, a constant evolution for production, distribution and exhibition. Now people in the last few years has changed completely their habits of consuming movies. Now names like Netflix were known only by a minority. Now everybody knows about it. Amazon, all these platforms are producing their own content, and horror plays a big part of the P&L of these companies. So it's also because it's cheaper to produce, and it's also becoming serious, and it's completely changing, but it's going up and up. So this is, I think, are the three reasons mostly that horror is becoming important as a part of the industry, of the film industry.
What about horror movies fans? Are they more and more difficult to get scared to, because obviously they are looking for adrenaline as well, no? and you expect the unexpected. But is it harder and harder to reinvent yourself as a horror movie director or scriptwriter and so on, when it comes to surprising the audience, right? To come up with original and new techniques each time. I guess you have to work a lot on this idea, right?
I absolutely agree. I mean, we have the impression that people, especially young audiences, are much more sophisticated and knowledgeable now. They know much more. They have access to movies all the time. Obviously, through the internet, they are watching movies on platforms, legal and unfortunately also illegal. But DVD, Blu-ray, but mostly the internet. These young people they know everything. They have immediate access to the information about the movies, the cast, the crew, the stories. They can read the scripts. They can also read, if they like the movie, they can read the script immediately. They find it on the internet. So I agree absolutely. I think it's much more difficult to come up with stories. And I say stories because everything starts with a script. The script is the king. It's always the script. You can always find a director that can accomplish a nice movie, but it's not that easy to find a good scriptwriter. Technically, there is very good directors. There is not that good scriptwriters. And normally, if you have a good story, you can have a good movie. The opposite is not that normally usual. It's not that usual. But as you said, I agree. It's much more difficult. But every year there is very intelligent guys and very young guys that come up with incredible horror and science fiction movies. That happens every year. And it's becoming more and more difficult, but they do it.
Right. And in terms of the budget of the festival this year, and also in terms of, I know that there are some new sections, no? And different also sections, various things happening every day in different venues. Are there is there a change in budget this year? Have you got new venues? Have you got new sections part of the festival?
Yes, the budget has increased a little bit. Mostly Sitges, like most European festivals, not Americans, but European festivals are mostly public financed or public funded. Our main sponsor, we can say, is the Catalan government, and then Sitges Town Council. Then we have also private sponsors and also our own resources like ticket sales. That, by the way, we started today with the ticket sales, and it's going very well. So that's news. That's a scoop from today. So yeah, we have this increase, and we are also doing new things like the VR new area. Called, as I said, Samsung Sitges Cocoon. We also have a small new section for new directors called Discovery. This is new, and I think we also have new venues. Maybe not exactly from this year, but since last year we are starting to also promote new free access area, because there is a lot of people buying tickets and all that, but we also want to take care of people who cannot really buy them, or give the opportunity to people who buy to also see some events and some screenings for free. So we are also doing let's say, pushing very much the free access area. Movistar Plus, for example, that's a free access theater. Brigadoon is a classic, etc.
Right. When you say new venues, what do you mean?
Oh, no, I mean screening rooms. Some of them are, well, everybody knows the Prado, Retiro, the big auditorium at Meliá, Tramuntana, but we also have the Brigadoon for many, many years. We also have this Movistar on the beach, so you can go there and watch movies for free. We also have Hora de Canfals, it's just in the middle of Sitges, just for kids. It's just a family program. And we also do screenings in, sometimes we do also screenings in a hotel for, that's private screenings also. So we have plenty of venues.
There are hundreds of screenings. How many, more or less?
Yeah, I would say the slots, I can say we have, among all the sections, we have 250-something long features. Something like, I would say, near 200 short features. A little bit less than that. We have plenty of parallel and side events like conferences, panels, roundtables, presentations, all these kind of things. And but if we are talking about the number of slots, I would say, I don't know. I don't really know that figure, but it must be something like, we can multiply for 3, so it can be something like 600 slots, something like that, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And in terms of premieres?
We have world premieres, meaning world premiere means when the film is seen for the first time. For the first time around the world. We have international premieres also. That means that has seen only in the festival of origin of the film, where the film was produced. And we have plenty of European premieres also. And we, the only requirement we really demand is called Spanish premiere. Means that the film hasn't been shown in any festival or anywhere in the Spanish state. That's what we do. But world premieres, yeah, we have quite a few, and a couple of them are Catalan also. So.
Right. Now that you mention Catalan directors, Catalan filmmakers, Catalan cinema, what is your opinion on the subject? How do you see Catalan filmmakers in the big world? At world level, where do they stand more or less in terms of quality, in terms of quantity as well? Because there are very, very well-known Catalan filmmakers, horror movies, filmmakers at the moment.
Horror and fantasy in Catalonia, as we were talking about industry and talent, has been huge. I mean, in the 1990s, Filmax, for example, who is a historical company, they created a Fantastic Factory that was in a specific operation to produce horror movies for the international market. We also have other companies like Rodar y Rodar, or many of them that have produced incredibly or top quality films, horror and fantasy films for a worldwide audience. The Orphanage, for example, by J. Bayona is huge. He's doing Jurassic Park 3. These guys, they have Hollywood agents. They are very well known around the world. Jaume Balagueró is another guy. His first film in 2002, Darkness, made something like, I remember that, make something like $22 or $23 million box office. Wow. That was huge for a foreign film in the United States. Let me remind you that Almodóvar, the film previously to Jaume Balagueró, Almodóvar was the biggest box office return filmmaker from Spain, or in this case from Spain. And his biggest film maybe made something like $3 million. And then Jaume arrived and made $23 million with a horror movie called Darkness. So we're talking back in time. That's not something new. And then we have J. Bayona, we have other people with international, Jaume Collet Serra. He's doing films that are blockbusters all around the world with huge stars like Liam Neeson, et cetera, et cetera. So Catalan talent is immediately recognized as such, as Catalan talent, and for horror movies and fantasy all around the world, yeah.
Okay, Mike, well, thank you so much for coming today. I'm afraid we need to conclude here. I would, well, we could chat for 3 hours, I'm sure. But anyway, I hope the festival goes great this year. Congratulations again for the 50th anniversary, and good luck with all the projects you have.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.